Welcome to the Oribooks, where every word is crafted to awaken your mind and soul. Here, we bring you transformative ideas, inspiring stories, and powerful lessons, all narrated with intention and clarity. Whether you're seeking personal growth, inner peace, or practical wisdom, our audiobooks offer a journey into the heart of what truly matters. Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in a world of knowledge, where each moment is an invitation to grow, reflect, and evolve. Introduction. Why now matters. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the constant demands of modern life. We are often caught in a relentless cycle, dwelling on past mistakes or anxiously anticipating what the future holds. We live in a time where the present moment is elusive, as our minds are trapped in the illusions of what has been and what could be. But what if everything we truly seek, peace, joy, and fulfillment, could only be found right here, right now? Imagine waking up in the morning, not to the familiar weight of worries or to-do lists, but to the refreshing stillness of the present. In this moment, there is no past regret or future anxiety, just the simple act of being. This is the power of living in the now, an ability that many of us have forgotten, but one that can profoundly transform our lives if rediscovered. The truth is, the present moment is the only place where life truly exists, and it is here that real transformation happens. When we focus on the present, we begin to notice the beauty in the smallest details, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the sound of our breath, the peaceful rhythm of our thoughts. These are the moments where we find connection, clarity, and peace, things we often seek in distant, unreachable places. However, many of us are so conditioned to focus on the past and future that we miss these subtle moments of grace. This chapter invites you to step away from the noise of time and to embrace the now. It's a call to explore the possibility that peace doesn't lie in a perfect future or in the resolution of past wounds, but in fully accepting and living in the present moment. By understanding why now matters and how to tap into its potential, you will unlock the door to inner peace and start a journey toward a more conscious and fulfilling life. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Time. Time is a curious thing. It governs our lives, dictating when we wake up, when we work, and when we rest. We measure our days by it, divide our years into seasons, and mark milestones by its passing. Yet, for all its influence, time remains an illusion, at least in the way our minds perceive it. In the practical sense, time is simply a tool to navigate life's rhythms. But when we allow ourselves to become trapped in the psychological construct of time, we invite suffering into our lives. Chronological time is easy to understand: seconds, minutes, hours. It's the clock ticking away in the background of our lives, keeping things in order, organizing events, and providing structure. But psychological time is different. It's the subtle undercurrent of thought that distorts our relationship with the present. It's our tendency to mentally relive the past or to project ourselves into an imagined future. The past, with its regrets and unhealed wounds, often pulls us away from the present, like an anchor weighing us down. We replay old mistakes, wishing we had done things differently, questioning how our lives might have turned out if we had made different choices. This constant mental revisiting not only steals our energy, but also keeps us stuck in cycles of guilt and shame. Then there's the future, an even more elusive and seductive force. It promises something better, something that will finally bring us happiness. But that future never truly arrives. We become fixated on what could be: the dream job, the perfect relationship, the next achievement that will complete us. Yet, when we reach those milestones, they're never quite as satisfying as we imagined. And so, we set our sights on the next horizon, perpetuating the cycle of yearning. This is the heart of psychological time, the tendency to divide life into past and future, leaving the present moment to slip away unnoticed. We tell ourselves that someday we will be happy, or that if only we hadn't done that one thing, life would be better. But the truth is, the more we focus on time, the more we distance ourselves from the only thing that truly matters: the now. To free ourselves from the tyranny of psychological time, we must first acknowledge its grip on our lives. It's not an easy task because the mind is relentless in its desire to dwell in time, but there are ways to break free. One of the most powerful tools to release attachment to the past is forgiveness, of others and of ourselves. The past is gone, and the only way to free ourselves from its chains is to let go of the stories we tell ourselves about what should have been. Each time we replay the past in our minds, we choose to suffer again. But forgiveness offers a way out. It's not about condoning mistakes or erasing history. It's about releasing the emotional hold the past has over us, allowing us to reclaim our energy and presence. Similarly, the future can be an even trickier beast. The key to breaking free from future worry is realizing that the future is always unknown, and that no amount of mental preparation can predict or control it. By surrendering the need to control the outcome, we can shift our focus from what might be to what is. Mindfulness practices, such as focusing on the breath, engaging fully in the task at hand, or simply being aware of the body and space, help anchor us in the present, reminding us that life is happening right now, not at some distant point in the future. What we find when we release our attachment to past and future is that we are left with the simple but profound gift of the present moment. In this space, we can experience life as it is, without the interference of mental distractions. We can find peace, clarity, and joy in the here and now. This is the essence of breaking free from the illusion of time. Realizing that life is not a series of moments strung together on a timeline, but a continuous flow of experience that can only be truly lived in the present. When we stop clinging to past regrets and future fantasies, we open ourselves to the full richness of life as it unfolds before us. Chapter 2. The Power of Presence. Presence is not just a state of being, it is a doorway to profound transformation. It is the art of truly inhabiting the moment, of being fully aware and engaged with what is happening right here, right now. In a world full of distractions, where our attention is constantly pulled in 1,000 different directions, presence is a rare and precious gift. Yet, it holds the key to inner peace and the deeper experience of life that many of us long for. Presence is not a passive state. It is not simply being or existing without thought. True presence is an awakened awareness, a conscious engagement with the moment. It is the ability to be so fully connected to the present that everything else fades away. The worries, the plans, the judgments, and the mental chatter. In this space, we cease to be preoccupied with the past or the future. We stop doing life and start experiencing it. The beauty of presence lies in its simplicity. It's about being completely attuned to what's happening around you and within you. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you listen, listen. No multitasking. No distracted thoughts about the past or future. Just the fullness of the experience in that very moment. Compare this to the typical way most of us live. We move through life on autopilot, checking things off our lists, absorbed in our thoughts. We often miss the nuances of our experiences, the warmth of the sunlight on our skin, the taste of food, the sound of a loved one's voice. These are all fleeting moments, yet they hold within them an immeasurable depth of beauty and meaning. But if we are not present, if we are not fully here, we miss out on life's true richness. Presence is the opposite of mindless living. It is about slowing down, taking a pause, and fully immersing yourself in the moment. It is about paying attention to life, to the people around you, to your own inner world. In this way, presence is not only a state of being, but a conscious choice to live more fully, more deeply, and with greater awareness. Cultivating presence is a practice, one that requires intentional effort and patience. It is easy to slip into the familiar rhythm of distraction, but by gently guiding ourselves back to the present, we can begin to experience life more fully. One of the simplest and most effective ways to cultivate presence is through mindful breathing. By paying attention to the rhythm of your breath, you can anchor yourself in the here and now. Take a few moments to breathe deeply and consciously, noticing the rise and fall of your chest or the feeling of air entering and leaving your body. This practice immediately brings you into the present, allowing you to detach from any mental distractions and simply be. Grounding techniques are another powerful tool for cultivating presence. These techniques involve bringing your awareness to your physical body, helping you reconnect with the moment. One simple method is to focus on your feet as they touch the ground, noticing the sensations of contact, pressure, and balance. Alternatively, you can close your eyes and listen to the sounds around you, letting the environment guide your awareness. These practices help you return to your body, which is always in the present, and away from the swirling thoughts that pull you into time. Another key aspect of presence is body awareness. Our bodies are constantly in the now, but we often fail to notice them. By bringing attention to the sensations in your body, you can anchor yourself in the moment. Pay attention to how your body feels as you walk, sit, or stand. Notice any tension, discomfort, or ease. The body's sensations act as a bridge to the present, helping us reconnect with the world around us. In addition to these practices, it is important to embrace mindfulness in everyday activities. Whether you are washing dishes, talking to a friend, or working on a task, you can choose to bring your full attention to the experience. The key is to engage with life as it unfolds, rather than letting your mind wander into the past or future. By doing so, you begin to create a habit of presence, allowing it to permeate every aspect of your life. When we cultivate presence, we invite the richness of life into our experience. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. The mundane becomes sacred. Each moment holds within it infinite potential, and when we are fully present, we begin to see the world with new eyes. We notice the intricate details that we often overlook: the texture of a leaf, the play of light on water, the warmth of a smile. But presence does more than deepen our appreciation of life. It also reveals the beauty of our true nature. In the present moment, we are not burdened by the false identities that the ego creates. We are not our past mistakes, nor are we our future hopes. We are simply here, alive, aware, and connected to the flow of existence. This realization allows us to experience life not as a series of fragmented moments, but as a continuous, harmonious whole. Through presence, we come into alignment with the deepest truths of who we are. In the now, there is no room for judgment or fear. There is only love, clarity, and peace. This is the gift of presence. It frees us from the tyranny of time and allows us to live fully, deeply, and authentically. As you continue on your journey, remember that presence is always available to you. It is not something you need to seek or attain. It is something you can choose, right now, in this moment. The more you practice, the more you will experience the transformative power of the now. And in that presence, you will find the peace and freedom that have always been within you. Chapter 3: Ego and its role in time-bound thinking. The ego is a powerful force, one that shapes our identity, our sense of self, and how we relate to the world around us. It's the voice in our heads that constantly seeks validation, that defines who we are based on our past experiences and future aspirations. The ego thrives on stories, the stories we tell ourselves about who we were, who we should be, and who we might become. But in doing so, the ego traps us in a never-ending cycle of time-bound thinking, distancing us from the present moment and from our true selves. At its core, the ego is an illusion. It's a collection of beliefs, memories, and desires that we mistakenly identify as our true self. The ego is constantly drawing from the past, clinging to old identities, old wounds, and old victories. It tells us that we are the sum of everything we've experienced. I am the person who made those mistakes, or I am the person who succeeded in that career. These labels, though familiar, are merely transient experiences. They are not the essence of who we truly are. Yet, we allow them to define us. This attachment to the past is where the ego thrives. By continuously identifying with past events, whether positive or negative, the ego keeps us stuck in the role of the victim, the hero, or the failed dreamer. It feeds on our stories, our need to reinforce what we believe about ourselves, perpetuating a cycle of self-limiting beliefs. The more we identify with these stories, the more we disconnect from the present, because we are always living in the shadow of what has been. Similarly, the ego is obsessed with the future. It builds an image of who we should become based on achievements, status, or external validation. It says, "You're not enough yet, but if you do X, Y, or Z, then you will be happy, successful, worthy." The future becomes an endless projection, one that keeps us forever reaching, always striving, never fully satisfied. The ego uses the future to create a sense of longing, a sense of incompleteness, convincing us that we need to become something we are not in order to feel whole. Yet, all of this, our identity based on the past and our desires for the future, are merely illusions. They distract us from the only reality that exists, the present moment. The ego keeps us trapped in time, disconnected from the stillness and peace of now. The greatest danger of the ego is that it leads us to mistake it for our true self. We begin to believe that our thoughts, our stories, our desires, and our fears are who we really are. We identify ourselves as the successful one, the victim, the overachiever, or the person who never quite gets it right. These identities are based on perceptions, judgments, and societal expectations, not on the essence of our being. When we mistake the ego for the self, we become prisoners to its constant need for validation and control. We react defensively to any perceived threat to our identity, whether it's a criticism, a failure, or a perceived injustice. We may experience anxiety, stress, or even anger because the ego feels threatened by anything that challenges its carefully constructed self-image. The ego creates division between who we think we are and who we really are. It fosters judgment, comparison, and competition. It tells us that we are separate from others, that we must compete for success, for love, for status. But in truth, when we are identified with the ego, we live in a world of duality. We see ourselves as distinct from others, as separate from the world around us. We forget that, at our core, we are all interconnected, all part of the same human experience. The ego also distorts our perception of reality. It filters everything through the lens of personal gain or loss. If something aligns with the ego's desires, it's seen as good. If it threatens the ego's narrative, it's seen as bad. In this way, the ego blinds us to the richness and fullness of the present moment. It keeps us in a state of constant judgment and mental chatter, preventing us from experiencing life as it truly is. The key to freeing ourselves from the ego's grasp is awareness. Awareness allows us to see the ego for what it is, an illusion, a collection of thoughts and beliefs that do not define our true self. When we become aware of the ego's influence, we can begin to step back and observe its patterns without becoming entangled in them. Mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools for silencing the ego. By observing our thoughts without judgment, we begin to separate ourselves from them. We start to see that our thoughts are not who we are. They are just passing phenomena, like clouds drifting across the sky. When we recognize that our thoughts do not define us, we begin to experience a deep sense of freedom. We are no longer controlled by the ego's stories, its desires, or its fears. One of the most profound ways to detach from the ego is through the practice of self-inquiry. By asking ourselves, "Who am I really?" we begin to peel back the layers of identity that we have attached to. We can explore the question from different angles. Am I my thoughts? Am I my emotions? Am I my body? The more we explore these questions, the more we come to realize that we are not the ego. We are the awareness behind it. Another powerful method for silencing the ego is to engage in moments of stillness. The ego thrives in noise, in constant doing, in distraction. But when we create space for stillness, when we allow ourselves to simply be, we give the ego less fuel to feed on. Sitting in silence, meditating, or simply being present without the need to achieve anything allows us to reconnect with the deeper essence of who we are, our true self, beyond the ego's illusions. Living beyond the ego does not mean rejecting the self, nor does it mean erasing all of our desires, memories, and ambitions. It means recognizing that these things are not who we truly are. We are not bound by the past, nor are we defined by the future. We are not our successes or failures, our desires or fears. We are the awareness that observes them, the silent witness to the drama of our lives. When we begin to live beyond the ego, we experience a shift in perspective. We stop seeing ourselves as separate from others and start to feel the interconnectedness of all life. We move beyond judgment, comparison, and competition. We begin to see others not as threats to our identity, but as fellow beings on the same journey. In this space of egolessness, we find freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of time-bound thinking, freedom from the need to constantly prove ourselves, and freedom to simply be. We can experience life as it is, without distortion or judgment. And in doing so, we connect more deeply with the present moment, with others, and with the truth of who we really are. When we silence the ego, we discover the peace that lies beneath all the noise, the stillness that is always present, and the love that flows when we let go of all that we are not. Chapter 4. Freedom through acceptance. Acceptance is a powerful, yet often misunderstood concept. It is not about passively resigning to life's challenges, nor is it about giving up on growth or change. True acceptance is a profound act of inner surrender, a conscious choice to embrace the present moment as it is, without resistance or judgment. In a world that constantly pushes us to strive for more, to improve, and to be someone different, acceptance invites us to soften, to be still, and to let go of the need for control. It is, in essence, the gateway to freedom. At first glance, acceptance might seem like an act of defeat. It can be mistaken for giving up, for saying, "This is how things are, and there's nothing I can do about it." But true acceptance is far from resignation. It is not the surrender of hope or the giving up of dreams. It is the act of fully acknowledging reality as it is, without adding layers of judgment, resistance, or fear. Acceptance is about releasing the need to control or change the things we cannot change. It's about letting go of the struggle against what is. When we accept the present moment, we stop fighting with life and start flowing with it. This doesn't mean we stop working toward a better future or improving ourselves, but rather that we stop demanding perfection from ourselves and our circumstances. We stop adding unnecessary suffering by constantly wishing for things to be different than they are. True acceptance requires us to stop judging ourselves and others. It means stopping the cycle of comparison and competition, where we constantly measure ourselves against others or an idealized version of how life should be. Instead, it is about recognizing the inherent worth in ourselves and in the present moment as it is. Acceptance, at its core, is the recognition that everything is as it should be, even when it doesn't feel like it. This doesn't mean that we give up on change or growth. It simply means that we learn to be at peace with where we are right now. When we accept the present, we no longer feel the urgency to escape it. We no longer feel the need to fix, change, or control what is unfolding in the here and now. One of the most powerful forms of acceptance is the acceptance of our emotions. So often, we are taught to push emotions away, to suppress them, or to get over them. We're told to move on, to keep going, to never let our emotions show. But when we push our feelings aside, they don't disappear. They merely fester beneath the surface, waiting to be addressed. Acceptance of our emotions is about allowing ourselves to feel without judgment or shame. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, the joy, the sorrow, the anger, the fear, without running away from any of it. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, acceptance invites us to view them as simply a part of being human. Every emotion is a messenger, revealing something important about our inner world and our relationship with life. When we accept our emotions, we cease to identify with them. We recognize that we are not our anger, our sadness, or our fear. These emotions are temporary states, not permanent aspects of our identity. By allowing them to be present, without resistance or suppression, we create space for healing and understanding. Emotions lose their grip over us when we no longer resist them. And in this space of acceptance, we find peace. The same principle applies to the situations in our lives. Acceptance of our circumstances means acknowledging reality as it is, rather than how we wish it to be. Whether we're facing an unexpected setback, a challenge, or an unwelcome change, acceptance doesn't mean we give up on improving the situation, but rather that we stop fighting against the reality of it. When we resist life's circumstances, whether they are external events or internal experiences, we create unnecessary suffering. Resistance to what is only increases our stress, anxiety, and frustration. But when we stop fighting, when we accept things as they are, we release the tension that comes from holding on to unrealistic expectations. In this space of acceptance, we can respond more wisely and compassionately to what is in front of us, without being consumed by frustration or fear. Surrender is a key element of acceptance. But surrender is not about giving up on life. It's about giving up the need to control it. In surrender, we stop struggling with what we cannot change, and instead, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life. It's an act of trust, a letting go of our need to figure it all out, and allowing life to unfold in its own way and time. Surrender requires us to acknowledge that we are not in control of everything. We can't control other people, we can't control the future, and we can't control the timing of our desires. The only thing we can control is our response to life. And in surrender, we stop trying to control or manipulate the outcome of every situation. We stop attaching to specific results and allow ourselves to trust that life will unfold as it is meant to. Surrender is often misinterpreted as weakness, but in reality, it is the ultimate strength. It takes courage to surrender to life, to let go of our tight grip on outcomes, and to trust the process. It takes strength to stop fighting with reality, and instead, to embrace it fully. In surrender, we release the burden of expectation and open ourselves to the flow of life's possibilities. The practice of surrender can be seen in moments of stillness, when we stop striving, stop thinking, and simply allow ourselves to be. We can surrender in small ways throughout our day, letting go of the need to have everything planned, accepting that not everything will go as expected, and releasing the need for constant productivity. In these moments of surrender, we find space for peace, clarity, and grace to enter our lives. Throughout history, many spiritual teachers have spoken about the power of surrender and acceptance. One of the most profound examples comes from the story of the Buddha, who, after years of seeking enlightenment through intense discipline and striving, finally sat down beneath a tree and surrendered to the present moment. In that moment of total acceptance, the truth he had been seeking revealed itself to him. Similarly, countless individuals throughout history have experienced profound transformations through the practice of surrender. These are not stories of people who gave up, but of people who let go of their attachment to outcomes, their resistance to what is, and their need to control life. Through this surrender, they discovered a deeper peace and wisdom within themselves. Surrender is not a passive act. It is an active choice to embrace life as it comes, without judgment or resistance. It is the conscious decision to trust in the process of life, to allow things to unfold naturally, and to find peace in the unknown. When we accept life as it is, we free ourselves from the tyranny of time and expectation. We no longer feel trapped by the weight of what's already happened, or by the pressure of what's yet to come. Acceptance creates a sense of liberation, of freedom from the need to constantly change, fix, or improve ourselves or our circumstances. In this space of acceptance, we connect with the essence of who we are. We are no longer defined by external conditions or internal stories. We are free to be ourselves, to be present, to experience life as it is. This freedom brings with it peace, joy, and a deep sense of fulfillment, for it is only when we accept life fully that we can truly live. Acceptance is not an end, but a beginning. It is the foundation for transformation. When we accept what is, we are no longer stuck in resistance, and we open ourselves to the possibility of change. From this place of acceptance, we can move forward with clarity, grace, and a deep sense of inner peace. In the end, acceptance is the gateway to freedom. The freedom to be, to experience, and to live fully in the present moment. It is the key to letting go of the past, releasing the future, and embracing the now. Through acceptance, we find the courage to trust in life, to surrender to the flow, and to experience the profound peace that comes from living fully in the present. Chapter 5. Accessing Inner Peace. Inner peace is often thought of as something distant, a far-off destination we can only dream of attaining once we've accomplished certain goals, reached a certain level of success, or rid ourselves of all stress. However, true inner peace is not something to be sought outside of ourselves, but something we already carry within. It is the stillness that lies beneath the chaos of the mind, a state of being that is always available to us, if only we learn to access it. In this chapter, we will explore how the present moment holds the key to unlocking this peace, and how living fully in the now can dissolve the turbulence that keeps us from experiencing a deep sense of serenity. At its core, inner peace is the natural state of being. It is not something we have to create or attain. It is something we rediscover when we remove the distractions and noise of the world. It exists beneath the surface of our thoughts, beneath the stories we tell ourselves about the past and the future. When we let go of these mental constructs, we reconnect with the stillness that is always present in the background. The present moment is the doorway to inner peace, because it is the only moment where true peace can exist. When we dwell in the past or the future, we become entangled in the stories, regrets, and anxieties that prevent us from experiencing the peace that lies within. Our minds are constantly pulled in different directions, ruminating over past mistakes or obsessing over future uncertainties, creating inner turbulence. But when we return to the now, we cease to be prisoners of these mental patterns. We enter a state of being that is not defined by time, by thought, or by external circumstances. In the present, there is no conflict between what is and what should be. There is only acceptance of the way things are right now. It is in this space of acceptance that inner peace can flourish. When we stop fighting against reality, when we stop resisting what is, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life. And in that alignment, we find peace. This peace is not something that can be earned or worked for. It is simply a matter of remembering who we truly are. Beneath the layers of thoughts, desires, and identities, there is a quiet awareness that is always at peace. When we connect with that awareness, we reconnect with our true nature. And in doing so, we experience the calm that has been within us all along. One of the most profound tools for accessing inner peace is gratitude. Gratitude is a practice of recognizing the beauty, the blessings, and the simple gifts that life offers us in each moment. It is a shift in focus from what we lack to what we already have, from what is wrong to what is right, from what we are waiting for to what is already present. When we cultivate gratitude, we immediately open ourselves to the present moment. We stop focusing on what's missing and start to see all the things that are already here. The people we love, the experiences that have shaped us, the beauty of nature, the quiet moments of stillness, and the small moments of joy that we often overlook. Gratitude reminds us that the present is full of richness, full of life, full of wonder. In this recognition, we find peace. The power of gratitude lies in its ability to shift our mindset. It moves us away from a place of lack and scarcity into a place of abundance. When we are grateful, we feel that we have enough, that we are enough. This feeling of sufficiency dissolves the need for comparison, competition, and striving. And in that release, we experience peace. Gratitude is the antidote to the constant wanting, the perpetual dissatisfaction that keeps us from being content with what is. By simply pausing and acknowledging what we already have, we invite peace into our lives. While inner peace is always accessible, it can sometimes feel elusive, especially when the mind is filled with distractions, worries, and judgments. To cultivate a deeper sense of peace, it can be helpful to engage in practices that bring us back to the present moment and allow us to quiet the mind. Here are a few exercises to help access inner stillness. 1. Guided meditation. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for quieting the mind and accessing inner peace. A simple practice of sitting quietly, focusing on your breath, and bringing your attention to the present moment can help dissolve the chatter of the mind. As thoughts arise, gently observe them without judgment and return your focus to your breath. Over time, this practice helps to cultivate a deep sense of stillness and inner calm. Meditation allows you to disconnect from the constant stream of thoughts and return to the peace that lies beneath. 2. Mindful breathing. Breathing is one of the most immediate and effective ways to anchor yourself in the present moment. When we feel anxious or stressed, our breath tends to become shallow and rapid, creating further tension in the body and mind. By focusing on deep, slow breaths, we can activate the body's relaxation response and return to a state of calm. Try breathing in deeply for 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, and exhaling slowly for 4 counts. With each breath, imagine releasing tension and allowing peace to settle in. 3. Body awareness. Our bodies are often a reflection of our mental and emotional states. When we are stressed or anxious, our bodies tend to hold that tension. By bringing attention to the body, we can release built-up tension and return to a state of relaxation. Take a few moments each day to simply scan your body, noticing any areas of tension or discomfort. As you inhale, imagine sending breath to these areas, and as you exhale, allow the tension to dissolve. This practice helps bring you back into the present moment and releases any physical manifestations of stress. 4. Journaling. Journaling can be a powerful tool for processing thoughts and emotions, and it can also be a way to reconnect with inner peace. By writing down your feelings, your fears, and your desires, you give yourself space to release pent-up emotions and clear your mind. Journaling can also help you reflect on what you are grateful for in the present moment, shifting your focus away from the past or future and into the now. Writing allows you to process and release, creating space for peace and clarity to emerge. The most profound shift in accessing inner peace comes from embracing the present moment fully. When we stop looking outside of ourselves for peace, when we stop searching for it in possessions, achievements, or the approval of others, we begin to realize that peace is always available to us within. It is the quiet stillness beneath the surface of our thoughts, the awareness that observes the passing of time without attachment or judgment. To embrace this inner peace, we must first recognize that it is not a distant goal, but a state of being that is always present. The more we allow ourselves to be with what is, without trying to change it or escape it, the more we experience the deep tranquility that lies at the heart of our being. In each moment of acceptance, we open ourselves to the peace that is already here. When we live fully in the now, we stop waiting for peace to come at some point in the future. We stop believing that peace will arrive once we have accomplished enough, once we have figured everything out. Instead, we realize that peace is not a destination. It is a journey, one that unfolds in each present moment. It is the gentle breath we take, the calm in the face of uncertainty, the stillness beneath the noise of our thoughts. In the end, inner peace is a practice, an ongoing choice to return to the present moment, to embrace life as it is, and to trust that we are already whole. It is not something to be attained, but something to be recognized, nurtured, and embraced in every moment. Conclusion: a new way of being. As we draw this exploration to a close, we come back to a central truth. The key to a fulfilled, peaceful life lies in our ability to live fully in the now. So often, we are conditioned to believe that happiness, peace, and fulfillment are distant goals to be achieved in some future moment. We spend our lives racing toward them, only to find that when we reach what we thought we wanted, we are still left with an unfulfilled yearning. The reason for this is simple. We have been looking for peace outside of ourselves, in a future we can never control, and in a past we can never change. True peace is not something we need to find or chase. It is something we already have access to, something that lies in the present moment, always available to us. It's a shift in perspective that can transform not just our lives, but the very way we experience the world around us. By cultivating presence, acceptance, and surrender, we break free from the mental cycles of worry, regret, and fear that keep us trapped in time. In doing so, we create the space to experience life as it truly is, a series of unfolding moments, each one holding the potential for peace, growth, and joy. The practices and insights shared in this book are not just theoretical ideas, they are invitations to live differently, to stop waiting for a perfect future, and to start embracing the richness of the now. They offer us a way to reconnect with ourselves, with the world, and with the deeper wisdom that resides within us. The power to transform our lives exists in every moment. It is not something that will come to us once we are good enough, or once we've achieved some external measure of success. The power is already here, in this very second. We have learned that the illusion of time, this constant pressure to fix the past and control the future, keeps us from experiencing the peace that comes with fully living in the present. By understanding the difference between chronological and psychological time, we can begin to break free from the false belief that we must constantly strive for something more. Instead, we can rest in the understanding that the present is where life truly unfolds. We've explored how presence is the gateway to inner peace, how mindfulness can anchor us to the now, and how the ego, which thrives on the past and the future, dissolves when we stop identifying with its stories. Through awareness and acceptance, we free ourselves from the mental traps that keep us bound to a life of constant striving and discontent. In embracing surrender, we discover that letting go is not about giving up. It is about trusting life to unfold as it is meant to, knowing that everything we need is already within us. And through it all, we have come to realize that peace is not something that comes to us when everything falls into place. It is something we create by how we respond to life, by how we choose to be in each moment. It is an ongoing practice, a new way of being that we can choose again and again. Every breath, every step, every word, every thought offers us the opportunity to return to the present, to release resistance, and to embrace the peace that already exists within. In this moment, you have the power to choose to live differently. You can choose to stop waiting for the future to bring you peace, and instead, begin to cultivate it here, in the now. It is not something you need to search for. It is something you can recognize and embrace at this very moment. You don't need to wait for the right conditions, the perfect circumstances, or the ideal version of yourself. The moment you choose to live fully in the now, you have already begun your journey into peace. Every moment is an opportunity to awaken. Each time you return to the present, each time you accept life as it is, you are making a choice to be free. The power to transform your life, to access the deep peace within, lies in this very second. And as you embrace the now, you will discover that not only is the present enough, it is everything. So take a deep breath, right here, right now. Feel the stillness beneath your thoughts, the peace beneath your worries, and the beauty beneath the surface of your life. In this moment, you are whole. In this moment, you are free. In this moment, you are at peace. This is the beginning of a new way of being. This is the power of now.